I'm Christy. Today I want to talk to you about the best way to handle money. Handling money. It's a touchy subject in a typical setting. And once again, it gets even trickier and sometimes touchier when special needs are involved. Now, when your loved one has special needs, knowing how much responsibility to place on their shoulders is a real balancing act. Now, of course, it does depend on what kind of disability is involved. If it's purely physical, then you might have to find some accommodations to help them complete specific tasks, but most likely they're capable of handling their finances independently, or at least as independently as any of the rest of us. But if there's any level of mental impairment, things get more complicated quickly. Then you have to figure out how much they understand about handling money before you can even begin to think about how much of their own budgeting and planning they can take on. And it's entirely possible that they won't ever be able to handle it all on their own. Now, in our situation, because AJ doesn't understand the value of numbers, his understanding of money is limited. He can go to the store and purchase items with his own money. And I even make him check out and pay on his own. Okay, a lot of times I have to help him figure out which bills he needs to use to pay, but he physically pulls them out and pays for his items. And he's learning, as he gets more practice, he's getting better at that. Now, if it's something that he really wants, he's quite happy to shell out that cash and pay for it. If it's not something he's so sold on, well, then he gets a lot stingier with spending his money. Definitely not a dummy. Now, because of his limited understanding of money, our current plan is for someone else to always handle the bills and such for him. He'll have money that he can spend as he wishes, but someone else will control his money so that we know that his needs will always be taken care of. For now, that someone is me. Now, in his online classes right now, one of the topics they cover is spending money and budgeting. I never thought about doing it this way, but I like what they're teaching him. Basically, you have 3 accounts. You have your wallet, which is your spending money, your checking account, which you pay bills from, and your savings account. Now, the lessons teach that the savings account is for big items, but then they also have you use it for things like birthday presents or replacing an item that you accidentally broke. Now, I think this is a bit simplistic, but when you have a loved one with a mental disability, they typically need simple. And I think it's an amazing way to teach them the basics of budgeting. You can pull money from your checking account to put in your wallet for spending money. If there's no money in your wallet, you're out of luck until payday, whenever you determine that to be. Now, obviously, you've also got to transfer some of that money into savings so that you have it for those big or special items. Now, I'd also like that they're teaching AJ how to pay bills online. And he's figured out how to read a bill and pay it online within the framework that they're providing. Now, I'm not sure how hard it would be for him to do it in the real world, but I think his practice is realistic enough that he'd be able to figure it out with some assistance in the beginning. Now, of course, the less than realistic part of this training is that they don't teach about automatic payments. Now, I don't know about you, but autopay has saved my bacon on more than one occasion. I highly recommend it. As for handling finances for someone else on a long-term basis, once again, things get kind of tricky. The first concern, obviously, is the trustworthiness of the person handling the finances. This is one area where individuals are taken advantage of on a regular basis. In fact, there are a number of businesses in my area that were really taking advantage of their clients a few years ago, to the point where the state stepped in and created or changed laws to make it much more complicated for someone to handle finances for others, at least as a business entity. Now, while I'm glad that they're protecting unsuspecting individuals who can't protect themselves, it does complicate my life right now. And it's not hard for a family member to take advantage of their loved one in a situation like this. In my opinion, you really need to know the person well and know that they have a high level of integrity and character. This means they will truly look out for the best interest of the person they're handling finances for and not use any of it for their own personal advantage. Hard to find in this day and age, unfortunately. A second concern is the reliability of the person to make sure the bills are paid on time. Now, while this is related to character and integrity, just because a person has high integrity doesn't guarantee that they're organized and consistent enough to get bills paid consistently. A third concern is who will handle finances if a family member is unavailable or unwilling to do this. A trusted friend is one option. Another option would be a business or a lawyer who handles these kinds of things. Obviously, you'd want to check them out thoroughly and confirm that the above concerns are addressed to your satisfaction. For me, They'd need a proven track record as part of that proof that you can trust them, along with a willingness to provide references of current clients. And yes, I'd be contacting those references for myself. I'd also say that you've got to be ready mentally to fire them should you discover that they're not completing the job to your satisfaction. This area is too important to take lightly. Now, I realize this is a really delicate topic for many people, and one that a lot of people don't like talking about. But I think it's too important not to address it when thinking about the future of our loved ones. I'm sure there are a ton of areas that I haven't even thought of, and I'm sure that many of you have heard horror stories of things gone wrong. I hope you've also heard some positive stories of successful handling of money for someone else. I would love you to share your experiences with others and thoughts with others here and in your own circle of friends. I firmly believe that one of the best ways to learn is from the experiences and stories of others. Which leads me to my question for this week. How are you planning to handle your loved one's finances? Is there something important you think that I've missed? I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can leave me a comment below, or you can leave me a comment over on the blog. That's at www.havenofhopeforme.com. This originally posted in September of 2020. I'm continuing to work out the details for AJ so that I can continue to say that life is good and there is never a dull moment.